Hello everyone, and welcome to the Remain Indoors podcast, where we have a grumble when required, we talk to experts about their fields of expertise, and we just grumble and moan about stuff. Oh, and we pay respects to Tony, who has got a dog, Matt. I'm joined by Matt to Rumpet. I can't get over it. Tony Thunderbeast, he's got a dog. They're getting a dog, and I'm devastated for him.
I feel so bad as I sit here and look at the 15 to 17 inches of snow sitting on our sidewalk, because he's going to be out walking that animal in that weather every time it happens.
I could not handle, like, people say how much they love dogs, but I just couldn't handle the constant need to have to take it out and about.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love dogs on the sidewalk when they belong to other people, but the sheer amount of effort to manage the animal is far more than where do you have that time? If you have a child, how can you possibly have a dog too? It's just like too much.
Yeah, no, I don't like hate dogs on principle. They're very cute, and when I'm out walking my cat, and my cat like tries to play with and pick a fight with a small dog, and dogs don't like that. Dogs do not like a cat bouncing around, like chasing them. It really freaks them out. But he's got a couple of neighborhood dogs who are like used to it now. So, well, you know, we go, hello, doggy. And if the kids want to pet the dog's head, that's great. But then you notice, like, they've just got a little bag of poop and they're just happily swinging a little bag of poop around. They seem really proud of it.
There's a reason I potty trained my child. It's because I did not want to deal with other people's poop.
I think if it wasn't for the poop, if there was a movie once where they invented a spray, which you spray on it and the poop dissolves, I would go ahead and get a dog. I think that's the one thing stopping me getting a dog.
I think maybe hydrofluoric acid would do the trick, but then it might also kill you. So,
I don't know what that is.
It's like one of the world's strongest acids. It's in films. That's what they use to dissolve bodies in bathtubs and things like that.
Oh, okay. Well, no, not that. That would hurt. I saw it in the 2 episodes of Breaking Bad I saw before I got fed up of it and was like, is he just going to cough the whole way through this TV show? That's really bad audio. And promptly gave up on that series. We are also joined. We're also joined in the shed by Liam Taylor. How's it going, Liam?
I mean, I'm all up for talking trash on dogs, but I'm not here to talk trash on the greatest televisual feast there ever was. How have you not finished Breaking Bad?
Because of the coughing. He's like just coughing the whole time. I'm not down for that. You are a Liam Taylor. You're a music guy from stabbedpanda.com.
Stabbedpanda.com, ltguitarist.com. I make music. I talk about people who make music, and I complain about people who make music. As long as it's about music, I'm into it.
I Stab Panda like your main thing, the new music people.
No, the main thing is sort of my personal brand at the moment. Stab Panda, I'm still in charge, still running the blog, but I've got a chap called Jay who does a monthly video feature about underground bands, and then I've got a chap called Theo who does our sexy singles blog every month, where we just write about singles music, and it's a joke based on spam that you have probably received. So I'm still sort of running the show, but I'm less involved on the creative front, if that makes sense. My main sort of thing is personal live streaming, music creation stuff at the moment, which I like. I like having minions.
I've stopped getting that kind of spam, the sexy singles in your area kind of spam.
They know when you get married.
Do they know just when I'm old and I've given up?
Yeah, I think there's something in cookies that indicates when like someone is less desperate or has stopped trying.
So there's like a meme on TikTok where it's a lady asking the boyfriend or the husband, how long would it take you to get remarried if I died? And, you know, there's some very sweet ones where, oh, it would be forever, etc. My genuine answer to that is that I would not move on at all. And it's not because it's like, oh, I'm being crushed by the weight of my lost love and I am bereaved. It's mainly, Matt, that I don't think I could be asked. I think we've said it before here. I just couldn't be bothered.
You say that, but I guarantee you, the moment all of the dishes were dirty and none of them were clean, you'd be out there on the market again.
Not at all. How dare you suggest that I would go and try and find myself a 1950s housewife? But no, I think genuinely, like, I'm kind of old, so there's not that same kind of hormonal, I must go out and procreate. So, yeah, we've done all that. That's fine. I can't be bothered to get to know someone again from the beginning. And I think in general, and it might just be a man thing, at 40, Like, I'm happy not to have a best friend. You know, like I don't need to like live in someone's pocket, and I don't think I'd ever want to get to know someone like I've got to know my wife again. I'm really happy to have contacts that I do stuff with, that I can invite to go and do a thing, be generally pleasant to, but then completely retreat back into my own space until I'm ready for company again.
Yeah, it's a real time sink, isn't it?
Yes.
Especially when you consider, oh, it's not just that I'm going to spend 5 years with you the entire time, and then we will have like a nice stable relationship. It's I'll spend 5 years with you, and actually at any point during that I might realize, actually, I don't like you that much, or you're a garbage person, or turns out I'm a garbage person, and we just should not ever talk to each other again. And you've just lost like 3 years of your life. What's the
Also,
point?
yeah, and also like you pick your partner mostly based on like it's mostly genitals based decisions, isn't it? Like I completely went to go to my wife because she was the pretty singer lady, and I was like, oh, I want to kiss the pretty singer lady. Turns out she's fine, and like we get on, and we're a good team, and we share values. I guess that's why we stayed together. But you pick your partner based on completely the wrong thing, which is whether they're pretty or not, which is ridiculous.
I think the underlying theme of most of Spanner's professional work is that he doesn't realize how lucky he is.
What,
Yeah, I would concur.
what with
Just
what?
everything you do, this is an undercurrent of,
And
I don't know.
and I still spend the whole time just completely moaning about everything as well.
Yeah.
Mark in the chat makes the comment: the whole process of retraining for a new wife would be terrible, and I do agree. The new number of tasks that are different from the old number of tasks that you'd have to relearn would be a significant amount of effort.
Oh yeah, we're talking about it from our point of view and what we would want in a partner. We forget that that new partner would have a new list of demands and expect you to be certain ways and stuff like that. And
on the other hand, you'd have a new 99 to look forward to.
yeah, 90. Oh, you don't know 99ing, do you, Liam? We've not introduced you to 99ing.
No, I would love to know. Is it weird?
It's not a sexy time position, unfortunately. Nope. It's if you have 100 tasks to do and you throw yourself into them and you do them all earnestly, doing the best job you can, she'll come home. And I say she because I've got a wife, I haven't got a husband. She'll come home and be like, there's one thing you didn't do perfectly. So out of the 99, there's one thing you only did 99%, and that it'll turn out was the most important thing of all the things you could have done badly for those 100. It was that one was the only important one, and now you know that. I bet you get 99 all the time.
No, I only have one job. I literally only have to do the washing up.
Is that it?
And my other, maybe it's because we're not married yet. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we haven't subdivided all the tasks. So my partner does all the tidying. I do the washing up, and we just basically forget to do everything else. Maybe it's a marriage thing.
Food?
Yeah, we cook together.
Oh right. Well, so there you
It's
go.
like
You cook.
That's the most time that we spend together on like work days is we cook together and then we eat together.
Well, me and Matt have figured out the trick to that is you just need to do a bad job. And
Right.
Yeah. And don't get trusted with it.
My sort of driving impulse is to find ways so that the people I like also like me. So I'm sort of inclined to do well at things that are important to them.
Oh, right. No, don't get married. You're going to have a terrible...
Okay.
You're gonna
Not for me, is it?
You're going to have a terrible time. Thankfully, you're not a marriage expert, and that's not why we've brought you on the show, Liam Taylor. We're going to talk a bit of audio and kind of movie making a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've got some specific questions about video production and video editing, but we're also going to focus on the sound and how it relates to the sound we see in the movies and how kind of that's been created. Now, tell us about your movie making experience. Hollywood or...
Yes, 3 Hollywood, 1 New York. No, I haven't even been to America. I've always wanted to do composition for film and game because they're kind of... There's a weird kind of creativity you get when you're trying to do something in a cross-media format. Like if I go away and write a piece of music, I can write a fine piece of music, but I feel like if you are trying to match actions that are on screen, or you want to imply moods that are on screen or imply moods that aren't on screen, that sort of framework gives you a different kind of creativity that I enjoy more. I can't really put that into better words than I have, but that's something I really like, and I really like anything that's cross-discipline and cross-media. So long term, I'd love to work in sound design or composition for film. I'd also love to do it in game, but I can't get my head around the programming side of stuff. So the
Hang on, sorry.
last, yeah, go on.
Is that because in games it has to be responsive and reactive, like it's like in Halo. Suddenly you get into the warthog and it'll be go dun 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 ba ba da bum, but then if you get into a plane it goes ba ba like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you have like the background music cues, which will change dependent on. Oh, really simple example. Super Mario World, when you jump on Yoshi, your little dinosaur mount buddy, a conga line gets added to the background music.
I want to Google that now.
Yeah,
I want to look
it's
into it.
real fun, and you may have noticed that, oh, it's cooler now that I'm on this weird green donkey, but you might not know necessarily why, and that's why it just increases the energy by having this little pitter patter of conga line.
Firstly, don't call Yoshi a donkey, okay? And secondly,
Sorry, he's a zebra, isn't he?
But secondly, worst character on Mario Kart because far too responsive in the steering,
Fair enough.
Good to accelerate, no top speed. So Yoshi, not for me.
It's nice that we have subjects where all of our expertise really comes to the fore. So yeah, you've got where the music evolves depending on what's happening around you, but also the sound design. So if there's a gunshot sound, that will need to change depending on where in the world it is. So it's pan to your left or it's pan to your right, but actually the sound quality changes depending on your distance from it. So if it's over there, it needs to be really reverby. If it's over here, it needs to be really clean but really bassy.
Oh wow!
And that's all programming that I can't do.
So a computer game maker would expect you, Liam Taylor, when you're providing music and sound effects, to factor all that in and to be able to interface with their computer program,
or to be able to program the sound. So you just record a shotgun, but you have to be able to then program it to respond to whatever's happening around it. And that's why I don't work in game. Although I'd love to.
Yeah, but it's okay because me and Matt bought all the stocks for game after our conversation last week, didn't we, Matt? So straight onto the Robin Hood app I was and bought up all the GameStop shares. So that was good.
So for the last year, I've been sort of working on independent film projects. My my other half is just wrapped up her MA in film and television. So I was helping out with all of her composition and sound design and stuff. And also there's like a lot of extracurricular stuff that she's been involved with and has sort of been like, well, I have a budget for audio. Do you want to do paid audio work? I'm like, paid audio work?
My goodness.
I've never heard of that before. No, that can't.
I refuse. I refuse to compromise my purity on this issue.
No, exactly.
Wow, we're buying sliced bread this month. Yeah. It's going to be good. Well,
buttered.
But I mean, you certainly have an interest in it, and you would consider yourself an audio expert, Liam. I'm sure.
I like to surround myself with people who call me an expert. That way, I can appear humble. So, thank you.
Expert Liam Taylor is going to talk to us about some audio stuff. But what's so I can frame this? What's your video editing skill set like?
Not amazing. I have been doing it for actual years. I use a piece of software called Movie Studio, which used to be Sony Vegas. It's not the best, but it is the video editing software that most closely resembles audio editing software, if that makes sense.
What's
so
it
I've
called?
Sort of transferred my Movie Studio Platinum.
Okay.
It's not very expensive, much cheaper than the front runners in that particular industry, who I'm not going to name, and much more reliable than most free software as well.
Right. Okay. So I've been teaching myself video editing. That's why my eyes are a bit bleary. I've been sitting here in front of the screen for hours. I would say I've put like 10 hours in this week of just trying to familiarize myself with all the editing processes, putting things together, transition, music underneath it, fading in and out of stuff. And I've got a massively overcomplicated video as an output, but I just wanted to teach myself how to do it. And we've been using OpenShot at the moment. OpenShot, which is a free bit of software, and I think I've reached my end with it, but it's sort of got us so far. our video editor for Missed Apex, Steve Amy, has suggested DaVinci Resolve. And then the other one that we've all been looking at, Matt, is the Adobe version. I don't mind naming these. However, it's like 20, 30 quid a month, the packages. Matt.
Well, I was going to ask, does Miss Spanner still teach at a school by any chance?
Yeah.
Because if she has an email at that school, there is a teacher discount for Adobe.
Right.
A pretty sizable one as well.
Right, you two,
Yeah.
you two chat
Which
amongst
is why
yourselves.
I have it
I've got to go and sort that out. Okay. Oh well, that's a useful part of this conversation. But I know more and more these days people are trying to like record what they do online and then edit it and upload it. So it can be a very daunting thing to suddenly have this video image and try and get it to do a thing. But I guess you're slightly beyond that stage, Liam.
Yeah, just because I've been doing it for so long. I mean, I've worked on a few really short documentaries for myself, and most of what I've done is social media stuff or YouTube type stuff, which is kind of its own set of editing language and techniques, if that makes sense. So you have a lot of jump cuts. You don't have to worry too much about fading. You can use a star wipe because that's kind of a funny meme if you want to do it, where you can't really do that if you're doing, let's just call it actual editing.
So have you ever had a situation, and I should say nobody knows that I do video editing because I almost never do, but I'm pretty sure the program that I use is called like Any Video. And it's a really simple one, and there's like a free code online. But the reason I found it useful, and this is why I wanted to ask, is my daughter had to do some videos for school. But I found that I was able to record sound separately and just simply replace the soundtrack with the better sound that I had recorded. And I see a lot of people seem to struggle with that. So is that a thing that you specifically look for in your own software then?
Yeah, so as a music person, I always want to replace audio sources. So if I use my DSLR with a built-in mic, I will use the mic on that, but only as a reference, so I can then overdub, or not overdub, but replace it with better audio from a nice microphone. So yeah, like being able to swap stuff out, but you need to have the audio waveform on screen to be able to do that properly, because weirdly you can't sync audio to video very well because mouths don't look like they're saying half the words they're saying, so you do need to use the waveform as a reference.
Right, I've been really struggling with that, as has our friend Kyle, who's recently been trying to just even upload racing videos. But you have the waveform from the sound you don't want to use, and then you match it up with the one you do want to use. That's really interesting. Last time you were on, you ruined TV for me a bit because you started talking about, what was the process you talked about where they record the voices afterwards?
ADR. Can't remember what it stands for.
So
you basically replace the audio or dialogue specifically after the fact.
Yeah, so ADR. And then as soon as you said that, I started hearing it everywhere. I started hearing people talking about it. The guy from Arrested Development, the brother, I can't remember his name now. The actor was on Conan O'Brien. The next episode, and they were talking about ADR, and I had to do another month of ADR after the fact, the TV show. So I started saying it to my wife. We were sat on the sofa watching something. I was like, that's going to be this thing, this ADR thing. She's like, no, it won't be that. It wouldn't sound real. I'm like, listen to the sound. It sounds like they're talking into a really expensive microphone right up close. Where's the microphone, Nick? And now any TV series I'm looking at, as soon as it starts to sound really rich like this, I go, well, that's not them. And you've just ruined TV for me, basically.
Yeah, sorry about that. But I was going to ruin TV in some other way. What's interesting is you can sort of see, once you get into video editing and film and audio and stuff, you sort of realize the patterns. So anytime you see two people talking, one has their back to the camera, one is facing the camera. If the person facing away is talking, you are not hearing them in that scene. Even though you're seeing head bobs, you'll be hearing them from a different cut or ADR. If they're in a club or a venue or a restaurant, that's not them talking in the moment, because, man, could you try talking in an actual restaurant with actual kitchen staff and wait staff and people eating and enjoying themselves? What? Could you imagine having a conversation?
Could you say that again?
Rhubarb.
Yeah.
I'm saying rhubarb because when I've done any extra work, they said that's what you say in the background. You say rhubarb, because it sounds like background mumblings. But yeah, and I've noticed as well, you go, why have they cut away to that shot? And they've cut away because they want to insert some dialogue, but without, they clearly don't have the actor saying the words, so they just have to. And yeah, so now I'm just looking at these things and go, well, why is it pointing at the cat now? It's so they could record that guy saying, oh yes, and remember the cat, because that's important to the plot.
A lot of it's continuity fixes as well. So maybe if you're on a tight production schedule, like a lot of reality TV or something like EastEnders that goes out literally all the time, if you scrap a scene because the truck couldn't make it today, so we just don't have the truck scene. Oh, well, we need to reference something in that scene, so we'll have a cutaway. Oh, but Jimmy didn't say the line of dialogue about that. Pan to the cat and ADR it. Easy.
Nah, it's bad. I learned some technical terms though. I googled them. Let's see if I got these right.
Go
So
on.
the two things that I found for movie audio is diegetic sound and non-diegetic sound. They're the two terms that I seem to have found. Are they the right ones?
Pretty sure it's diegetic, but also it's
Liam,
down,
sorry,
so
I don't
there's
want
no way for you to know that.
I don't want to correct your hearing, but I actually did say diegetic. So
Sorry, we'll have to ADR that in post, so you said the right thing.
no scrolling back. Damn it, it's
No
podcast.
scrolling back.
It's all right when it's like radio, because then they don't know. I just claim I did say it and gaslight them. But now you can scroll back. So what is it? Diegetic.
Diegetic and non-diegetic,
Yeah.
and I always forget which way round they are. I think diegetic refers to any sound that exists within the context of the film, even if it wasn't there at the time.
Oh no, it's the other.
So-
I think it's the other way around. So this, I googled it, but diegetic sounds then is the sound that is in the world when you're actually recording it.
That's what I said.
Oh right, okay, sorry.
Within the context, so like two people having a conversation is diegetic. Wind in the trees is diegetic. Jimmy walking past with his boombox blaring 80s hits, that's diegetic. Even if you have to add it afterwards. So even if the dialogue is then ADR'd, or
right.
even if Jimmy, he was playing hits from the 90s, the mad fool, let's replace it with something from the 80s, still diegetic because it exists in that world. It's stuff that the characters can hear.
Right.
Whether or not the actors can hear it, it's stuff the characters can hear. So non-diegetic is stuff that is deliberately and obviously added afterwards. So any kind of score, any kind of music that is, not heard by Legolas as he's shooting his bow.
Right.
Anything voiceover, like a narrator. What else? Oh, sound design, like horror stingers, like anything that sort of raises tension, like people in a haunted house aren't actually hearing a cymbal played with a cello bow, but that just sets the atmosphere.
So in You've Been Framed, where the guy slips and it goes whoop, like that is added in afterwards. That is a non-diegetic. It's a non-diegetic sound.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think the bit that interests me most about movie making, and this is where we got started talking about it last time you came on, was capturing the diegetic sound. So creating that worldscape. And this is like what Matt's talking about is even with a kids project, you kind of want the sound separately and you want to create your own sound path and put it together. So I noticed this, Matt, my daughter had to do an Anderson shelter for a school project. She had to do a model of an Anderson shelter, and she asked her teacher if she could do it on a 3D video rendering. And the teacher was like, yeah, I guess. She meant Minecraft. So she basically played Minecraft for an hour and built this Anderson shelter, the air raid shelters. But then she had to sort of prove it and make a video. So I was going to do whole video capture cards and get her in the studio to do the narration. But in the end, I just decided to point my phone at the screen. and actually you go, oh, I mean, she loved it. She got the top mark and everything. But listening back to it, you go, oh, yeah, no, it really sucks having the sound off of like a phone. And like what really should have done is just got her in to the studio and gone over the top of it. But I'm guessing that hardly anything we see is that kind of live sound recorded as it was.
Yeah, pretty much everything is replaced in that way. I have used, other than for sync purposes, I have used in-camera audio quite a lot. So sometimes if you're working with an independent filmmaker, something really cool will happen. but they didn't capture it on audio. And well, I'm never going to be able to go out and film a plane crash, am I? I don't really want to steal it off YouTube. So you try to sort of find a way to fix the in-camera sound, but you never just have it as it is because it will sound crummy. So maybe it's a case of doing some drastic EQ, maybe a bit of reverb and leveling, and then you can sort of get away with some stuff. It's a case of what takes the most time. If I spend an hour doing this, is it going to sound better than if I go out around and try to find a plane crash? Like, how long is that going to take? Oh, and I've set the level wrong when the plane actually crashed, so that was pointless. Yeah, so you can use it. It's just not always great.
I was nearly tempted, Matt, after filming our Lucas Trucks adventure to get you guys, because a lot of your stuff that was recorded was like drowned out by like a skidding tire. I was nearly like, can I get Matt to just repeat the line and like cheat and slot it back in afterwards?
You could.
I know, but it just sort of felt there was one sound you made that almost sounded fake. Is someone had rolled you onto the side, so your virtual car was on its side, and you just very calmly said, "Could anyone nudge me and roll me over?" It was like, there was no panic or anything. It was, if anyone's got a spare minute, could you put me back on my wheels?
I remember that. That happened twice.
Ah, brilliant. Oh, brilliant. Well, Liam. Well, movie making. I wanted to shuffle into the audio part of it and the audio equipment part of it. Now, anyone who's watching on the video can see that you've got a fluffy sock. And wrong videos. Oh, here you go. There we go. You've got like a fluffy sock thing in front of you.
A dead cat.
A dead cat. And
isn't
that more for outsidey stuff to have the big fluffy covers for your mic?
Yeah, it's a wind filter. So if there's a breeze, this sort of cancels out.
Does
not
it work?
All, but like most of it. Yeah, better than not having it. It's not perfect, but it's better. The question you're about to ask is, why do I have it inside?
Yeah.
Because there's a computer right there and there's another computer there.
So you use it as like a muffler.
It doesn't cancel the sound, but it's slightly better. So just leave it on.
Actually, the way I was going was whenever you see footage of a movie set, there's in fact I think I've seen you with one of those big boom arm things. I'm sure you've posted a picture of you with a big boom army thing, and it's got the fluffy sock at the end. And I just never can get into my head how that works on a movie set. Like, what kind of weird angle do you have to be at to make sure that it's close enough, pointing at the person, but also not in the shot? And like, does it work? Because my wife has got 2 shotgun mics she's had for the last 15 years in the loft. And I'm like, is there any application I could have for them?
So these shotgun mics are super directional. So if I'm here, it'll capture. We've definitely spoken about this before. If I'm here, it'll capture my sound. If I'm over here, you basically can't hear me.
Yes, we did.
Which is different to both of your mics. You can sort of move around a little bit, and it doesn't really affect the amount of voice it picks up. So the distance doesn't affect the amount of sound it picks up as much as it would on a condenser or a dynamic microphone. So you can hold a boom pole above a person pointing down, and you basically pretend that someone's holding an apple as if they're about to eat it. You've got to aim at that. Because the human voice mostly actually propagates from the chest, which is why lapel mics go here, and you can hear someone nice and bassy as if they were using a condenser. So you want to sort of aim for this kind of area where the sound collects. So you want to try and have the mic. The reason you have such a long pole is because you want to get above wherever the cameras are. And it could be a super wide angle, which means that if you could accidentally dip the pole into the shot and ruin everything for everyone. So you want to try to get it up out of the view of cameras and then pointed down in front of the person who's talking. Does that sort of answer the question?
It always just seems really janky, just like it can't work. That's all. It just always seems
does work. And then you have you can either sync directly to the camera that's recording, so you don't have to sync anything in post, or I record into like a Tascam, a bigger version of the tasery looking things you normally see. And what you then do is usually you write down which shot it is, so you know that it matches with a camera shot, and then the director or producer will have the clapperboard which goes map, and when that noise happens, you sync the clap sound to the visual of that closing. So the second that those two bits on the clapperboard meet, that's when the click sound needs to happen. So yeah, synchronizing is fun.
Do you think? No, it's not. I can't. I could just
I hate
never do it.
It's the worst.
The more I try and do it, the more it drives me mad. And I'm trying to look at the mouth and line up the mouth with the word, and it's nearly impossible. All you know is it's not syncing up. It's not in sync, and then you move it one direction or the other. It could be either, and it's either worse or nearly there. And then there's a moment where it's like, no, I've got it. Right, don't touch anything. Don't slide anything around at all. So can I, quick one. This is just me, my personal admin. Could I use that shotgun wife? It's a Shure. She's got a pair of them. They're little shotgun things. Could I put it in front of me and then like do YouTube videos without, obviously I'd try to get as close to this sound as possible.
What you could do is you could have the shotgun pair sort of where your current microphone is, pointing slightly outwards, and then if you wanted to go do a TikTok dance in the background or something, you could then mix between the two audio. So you've got your close mic and your distance mic. Just make sure that the three mics are far enough away from each other so you don't get phasing.
Oh, right. Hang on. Is phasing interesting or not?
If you want it to be there, it's the best.
Oh, okay. that sounds dull.
But you don't want it to be there.
It sounds dull. I'm going to go on my other tangent in my head, which is Matt. Just tell me what your TikTok idea was, because I listened to it and then instantly forgot it. But I'm sure you had an idea for TikTok.
Yeah, for Missed Apex though, not Remain Indoors.
Oh, right. Is it if you reveal the idea, will other people steal it, or is it the kind of thing we can talk about?
I don't know. Well, I tell you, we can talk about it in the abstract. I used to do a very regular feature. It was only 1 minute long.
Yeah. Oh, no one can copy that.
And I suggested that might be a way to advertise the show on TikTok if we did that on a regular basis, but on TikTok instead of the show.
Liam, you do TikToks, don't you?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Would you? Well, how does it work? Because do you have to do it on your phone?
Yeah. I mean, you can film stuff and then edit it if you have a way to edit vertically rather than horizontally, which most editors won't do. So it's better to use your phone because it's easier. That would be a good way to promote the show. What I've learned with TikTok is that actually you get way more traction if you actually interact with other people. So if you do video replies, if you do things that are called stitches or duets, so you basically incorporate someone else's video into your video. So if you do that, you'll be onto a winner. But having some kind of minute-long content up there would, I get more really silly examples. For the conversation hat, we've started doing these word a day things. So it's about 15 seconds and it's a pun. It's a real bad pun. So one that's coming up is today's word is hammer. Someone who looks after a pig. Hammer. That's it. And
yes, Stuart Neal, we are on to free consultancies for First to Spanners. That's all I use the guests for, is to solve my current problems. Why not, eh? If you've got resources, if you've got access to experts, why not? Hey, Matt, I can't read so good when we're typing. Did you say you've got to go and hit someone with a golf club?
Yeah. Yeah, basically, someone downstairs decided they were unhappy about not being able to immediately move, and they were just sitting on their horn for about 90 seconds straight. This happens every so often because our actual road our house fronts on is like a slip road from basically a highway. And every so often someone stops to do a thing, or a truck stops to do a thing, and the people behind get irritated. Or, the crossing guard doesn't let anyone go, and someone 17 cars back decides that if they honk enough and loudly, everyone will just magically move out of the way for them.
Yeah.
And someone decided to do that while Liam was talking. And I don't know, I've had lots of espresso and not much wake time. So that was going to be my solution.
Fair enough. Let's finish up the movie making, though, then, Liam. We've got our diegetic sounds. We've got our scenescape. We've fudged extra character voices in there that weren't there originally by pointing at a cat and then doing ADR. The last thing is, the narration, sound effects, music that comes in over the top of it. How involved have you been in that process? Because you can really change a piece of video massively. Like the video I'm just doing, I added the Missed Apex theme tune at the beginning with like lots of like guitar, electric, like pew, pew, and it was so much more exciting.
I prefer the creative side of stuff. I will do location sound if there's money or I like the person or the team involved, but I hate it because it's so much pressure. Because if you mic someone up wrong, that's the interview done. And that could be a famous person or an elderly person or someone who's not going to come into the studio and ADR for you because that's not their job. So I really hate doing the location stuff. I don't mind Foley. So like overdubbing footsteps and stuff, that's fine. But I love doing the creative stuff. So like the weird horror sound design or the composition, and then even bits of voiceover and narration. So that's sort of the bit that I try to lean on more because I find it way more fun.
Okay, how do you do footsteps in your shed?
Oh, I go outside and I find a thing to record footsteps with.
Oh,
So I did when it snowed a couple of years ago, I got a whole bunch of footsteps. So I had to wear different shoes. I had to try and walk with a different gait. I had to use like less or more of my body weight to try and get a normal person sounding foot. And that's good for some forest sounds, some seaside type footsteps just sound like snow.
I'm disappointed that your footstep sounds are just your footsteps. I don't know. I thought it was going to be like, oh, what I do is I get 2 water bottles and sand, and then I squish them using a blender fork. But to say no, I just record myself walking.
Of using bacon frying to get the sound of rainfall. That's a good one if you don't mind getting a greasy microphone. I'll tell you one because I don't think he's watching the show, but the sound design he did recently, there was an animated sequence of trees growing from the ground, and I was like, how am I going to get the sound of wood growing in like seconds? So what I did was, you can't really hear it, but I just recorded my chair squeaking, and then I slowed it down and pitched it down, and then it sounds like wood growing. That was fun. It was a good morning.
That's inventive, but like
it's inventive. And then I just laid in some like bushes rustling, and I kicked a tree a couple of times and just layered those in. But most of the sound is.
This is a good example with freelancers when people complain about like rates and they say to you, well, it took you an hour to do that tree sound. And we go, no, it took me like 15 years of learning what sounds good where. That's what you're paying for, isn't it? You're paying for the years.
You're paying for the years of working. Oh, what things could tonally sound similar to this abstract idea, which isn't a sound that exists because no one knows what a tree growing in a second sounds like. So you've got to sort of think tonally. You've got to think, oh, if I slow it down, what algorithm is going to best represent that kind of sound? Does it need to be digital? Does it need to be organic? And then what effects do I put on top of it? And yeah, it's like decades worth of work. So it took me about 20 minutes to set up, hit record, and then pull that into the editor. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't have been doing stuff like that for 20 years.
Excellent. Well, look, we could keep talking about how to create different sounds. Now in my head, all I've got is like, how often is it like okay, I'm typing a keyboard, but if I actually sit here and type my keyboard, it actually doesn't sound a lot like typing a keyboard once it's recorded, if that makes sense. It just sounds like random tapping. So you've got to almost not recreate the real sound, but recreate the sound that I think it should make, if that makes sense.
So you've got to kind of separate your expectations as a viewer from what you're actually seeing. So rather than going over to your keyboard and typing and being like, oh, that's the sound I need to recreate, don't actually do it. Just listen to the sound of, like, imagine someone typing in your head. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. What does that sound like? Kind of like train tracks. All right, off to the rail station then. So you've got to kind of, because then if you do actually put the real typing sound in and then watch it back, it's just not going to be convincing, especially if you want something moody and dramatic. Someone's writing like, I don't know, a threatening letter or something, and then it goes clickety, 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 clickety. That's
Doesn't
not what you
sound
want. You
threatening,
want
does it?
boom, 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 boom to set the mood.
Certainly
Train
do.
station.
Certainly do. Liam Taylor, stabbedpanda.com, at LT Guitarist. Very important question. What would you call a dog if you were specifically trying to pick a terrible name to punish your family because you didn't want to get a dog? Now, some
Right.
people will say, oh, you're definitely talking about Tony because that's who you were talking about at the beginning of the show. But that's a conclusion you're drawing.
Porky.
Porky. Well, thing is, I think we were going down the line of people names. So, like, if you give your dog a people
Trevor.
name, what's the worst? Yeah, but what's the worst person name that you can think of?
What gender is the dog? Not that it massively
It presents as male.
Presents as male. Captain Scratches.
I was thinking more like Chris.
Chris is great.
Yeah.
Derek.
Yeah, Chris or Derek.
Just the name of anyone that bullied you at school. So like a Kieran.
Mm.
Yeah.
I've long held the belief that Chris is the worst thing a human can be called. And I'm sure that's come up on a TV series. In fact, you know what it is? I think it's Game On. Do you remember Game On from the 90s? I think they said Chris is the sort of name you would give a turd on a string or something like that. Anyway, but they were right. Chris is an absolutely terrible name. Go and follow Liam by finding everything with LT Guitarist on it on the internet. Search for it on YouTube, stabbedpanda.com to find new music. And then if they find the new music, they get to be all like, oh, yeah, I've put on this band, like you've probably never heard of it. You know, I'm not really into the popular stuff. And you get to be all smug like that.
That's the whole point the website exists. Who doesn't want to be a hipster for new music? It's perfect. We make that whole process really easy. You don't have to go anywhere.
And be honest, how much of it is terrible and could never be commercially successful just because it's poor?
So let me put it this way. We get 40 to 50 emails every week, and we do one video feature about one band and then one article of between 5 to 12 bands. And we don't talk about music we don't like. So you can do the maths there.
No, I can't, but it's a small amount. It is 2%.
Pretty small.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Matt, when he's not swinging golf clubs at people who are honking their horns, and when he's had more than one coffee in a day, have a coffee, Matt. Go have coffee now. At MattPT55. You do seem a little out of it today, Matt.
Yeah, I think I'm just tired. It's the first day of a new semester for the kids, so everyone's schedule has been all readjusted and stuff. Plus, as I mentioned, we've been snowed in since Sunday.
Well, go and listen to Matt on the new Missed Apex iRacing podcast, which he came on with Brad and Kyle. We recorded that yesterday. You can find that at iRacing Podcast, because no one else has taken that Twitter handle, so I took it. Or you can find it by going to missedapexpodcast.com, and you can click on podcasts and find all the shows we do, including this one, actually. We've put up on there, too. You can find this show by clicking at Indoors Remain on the Intertwitters, and you can follow me at Spanners Ready. I'm the best one. We'll be back here next Thursday. Just complaining about our lives. You can listen to me, Spanners 90s Radio, on Spotify, or me and Matt at Missed Apex F1. Matt writes stuff over at Reddit too. We'll try and link to that. But until we see you next, work hard, be kind, and have fun.